Imagine standing in the middle of a pitch in Manchester. Your lungs are burning. The crowd around you is just this wall of deafening, chaotic noise.
Oh, yeah, it's totally overwhelming.
Right. And the culmination of years of grueling practice and literally the fate of an entire nation's sporting future has just funneled down to a handful of seconds.
That is immense pressure.
It really is. And the outcome now hinges on three completely unpredictable things: a single dropped catch slipping through desperate fingers, a sudden agonizing knee injury to a key player completely out of nowhere, and a frantic, cobbled together final over where, nobody, not the players, not the coach, not the crowd, knows what is going to happen next.
I mean, it is the ultimate pressure cooker.
Yeah.
When athletes are thrust into that kind of environment, it really ceases to be just a game of physical skill.
Yeah, it's something else entirely.
Exactly. It becomes a pure test of psychological endurance. The brain's fight-or-flight response just kicks in, and fine motor skills begin to degrade. We are talking about human biology colliding head-on with high-level sports.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are taking a magnifying glass to the match report excerpts from an incredibly tense 2026 T20 World Cup clash, where Sri Lanka edged out Scotland by 3 wickets.
A really nail-biting finish.
Absolutely. For those keeping score, Sri Lanka finished at 154 for 7, chasing down Scotland's 151 for 6. But our mission today isn't just to read you the scoreboard.
No, we're going much deeper than that.
Right. We are going to dissect the wild momentum shifts of this specific match to extract exactly how high-stakes pressure forces crucial, devastating errors on one side and ice-cold heroics on the other. Okay, let's unpack this, because to truly grasp the mechanics of what went wrong and what went right, we really have to look at the sheer weight pressing down on these players before the first ball was even bowled.
You really cannot analyze a single swing of the bat in this match without understanding the heavy, just suffocating burden on both teams. Let's look at the macro-level consequences for a second.
Yeah, set the stage for us.
So, for Sri Lanka, they were fighting for absolute survival. I mean, they essentially had to win this match just to keep their tenuous semifinal hopes alive.
And it wasn't even a guarantee, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even with this incredible victory, they still aren't entirely in control of their own destiny. They desperately need a massive domino effect. Like, they need England to beat New Zealand, and they need Ireland to beat the West Indies just to advance to the last 4.
Wow. So they are essentially walking a tightrope, knowing that even if they execute their job flawlessly, they might still fall because of someone else's mistake.
Right, it's out of their hands.
That is a heavy psychological load. But Scotland's situation feels almost, more severe. A loss here doesn't just mean they go home. It means they miss out on a golden opportunity to directly qualify for the 2028 tournament.
That is the anvil hanging over the heads of the Scottish team. Direct qualification. It alters the entire trajectory of a national sport.
How so? Like financially?
Oh, massively. We are talking about guaranteed funding, the development of grassroots programs, and just the general financial stability of player careers for years to come.
So it's much bigger than just one game.
Completely. When a player steps onto the field, they aren't just playing for a trophy. They are literally carrying the livelihood of their sport's future in their country.
Which perfectly sets up our first major theme, the psychology of desperation. To understand the frantic final over that we will get to a bit later, you have to look at how that immense tournament pressure dictated a hyper-aggressive start from Scotland.
They came out swinging.
They really did. During the first 6 overs of a T20 match, what is called the power play, there are strict fielding restrictions. Only 2 fielders are allowed out near the boundary rope. It essentially creates massive, unprotected patches of grass in the outfield.
And Scotland exploited this immediately.
Right. They reached 45 for 1, largely because Darcy Carter was at the crease, acting utterly fearless. It's like playing a game of chess where your opponent's upcoming matches against other people determine if you even get to stay at the table. Does that kind of desperation change the psychology of an opening batter?
Oh, without a doubt. In a situation where you might expect a batter to be cautious, to feel the weight of the moment and play it safe to build a foundation, Carter did the exact opposite.
Yeah, she was wild.
That desperation we just talked about can sometimes unlock a state of hyperfocus. She recognized that the fielding restrictions during the power play offered the highest reward for aggression.
She took the overhead route immediately. I mean, she smashed 4 boundaries, 4 fours off just the first 10 balls she faced.
Incredible striking.
It is, and there is a brilliant statistical milestone here. During this ferocious innings, Carter actually surpassed England's Danny Wyatt-Hodge, who had 193 runs to become the tournament's top run scorer. She was literally wearing the crown while swinging for the fences.
Quite the achievement.
But it makes me wonder about the sustainability of that strategy. You are swinging wildly, taking immense risks, because you know your survival depends on it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that hyper-aggression is a double-edged sword. You force the issue, sure, but you also expose your throat to the opponent.
High risk, high reward.
Exactly. And Sri Lanka took advantage of that high-wire act to draw first blood.
Hmm.
While Carter was firing, her partner Catherine Fraser was trying to keep the momentum going, and she fell right into the trap.
Tell me about that catch.
Sri Lanka's Nilakshika Silva executed a superb, sprawling catch, diving sharply to her right at mid-off from Mithali Ayodhya's bowling to send Fraser packing for 12.
Let's pause and explain that mechanic for a second, because a diving catch at mid-off is no joke. The fielder is positioned relatively close to the batter, almost straight down the pitch.
Right. The reaction time required is insane.
Exactly. The ball is coming off the bat at an incredible velocity. For Silva to track the trajectory, dive to her right, and pluck that ball out of the air requires a reaction time of mere milliseconds.
It is pure instinct overriding conscious thought. And strategically, it was a massive statement from Sri Lanka.
Like drawing a line in the sand.
Exactly. It was a stark reminder to Scotland that they could hit as hard as they wanted, but any slight miscalculation would be punished instantly. It kept the power play from completely slipping out of Sri Lanka's control, even as Scotland pushed to 45 for 1.
So I'm looking at these stats, and something just doesn't make sense to me. Carter was an absolute fireball, 18 runs off just 10 balls. But then her production drops off a cliff. She manages only 16 runs off her next 26 deliveries. Was she just physically exhausted from the adrenaline dump, or did Sri Lanka change the ball?
It wasn't exhaustion, and it wasn't the ball. It was a complete shift in the geometry of the field.
The geometry.
Yeah. Once those first 6 overs of the power play end, the fielding restrictions loosened. Sri Lanka was suddenly allowed to drop more fielders back to the boundary rope. Those massive unprotected patches of grass in the outfields we mentioned earlier, they vanished.
So it's like a basketball defense suddenly realizing they need to take away the three-point line. The offense can't just casually lob shots from the perimeter anymore.
That's a great comparison.
They are forced to painfully grind out points in the paint against a wall of heavy defenders. Every single run becomes a physical struggle.
That is exactly how to visualize it. Sri Lanka applied the brakes perfectly by changing that tactical geometry. Following the power play, Scotland was absolutely suffocated.
The numbers really show that.
They do. They managed to score just 43 runs in 8 excruciating overs. What's fascinating here is how effectively Sri Lanka neutralized Scotland's momentum without necessarily relying on pure pace, but through disciplined pressure. A perfect example is how Kavisha Dilawri handled Catherine Bryce.
Bryce was clearly trying to break those shackles, right? I mean, she had just hit the formidable Chamari Athapaththu for a massive 6 and a 4-off consecutive balls in the 9th over. She was threatening to light the spark again.
She definitely was. But Dilawri steps up and brilliantly executes a cotton bold to dismiss Catherine Bryce for 23 off 23 balls.
And for those unfamiliar, a cotton bold is one of the most physically demanding plays for a pitcher, or in this case, a bowler.
Oh, absolutely.
You hurl the ball down the pitch, follow through with your momentum carrying you forward, and the batter smashes it right back at you. Dilawri had to arrest her forward momentum, track the ball coming back at her face, and catch it on pure reflex.
Which is terrifying, honestly. Yeah.
By executing that, she extinguished Scotland's attempt to accelerate and forced the batting team to completely reset their timing.
He was a masterclass in applying pressure.
But here's where it gets really interesting, because the climax of Scotland's innings descends into one of the most chaotic sequences imaginable. Sarah Bryce, who ends up with a massive 47 not out, and Ailsa Lister, who hits 26 off 17, stringed together this incredible recovery.
They were really building something.
Yeah, they put up a 53-run partnership in just 32 balls. They are pushing Scotland back into a commanding position, but then utter panic sets in. Sri Lanka's Silva fields the ball in her own follow-through. She turns and throws it directly at the non-striker's end to run out Ailsa Lister.
A great piece of fielding.
But the play doesn't end there. In a bizarre scrambled sequence on the exact same ball, Priyana Chatterjee is also run out. How does a professional team suffer a double run out on one delivery?
It perfectly illustrates the frailty of a team's composure when spatial awareness just evaporates.
Right.
A run-out occurs when a batter fails to ground their bat behind the safety line before the ball hits the stumps. When Silva unexpectedly threw down the stumps at the non-striker's end, it triggered a shockwave of confusion.
Like everyone just froze or panicked.
Exactly. The batters lost track of where the ball was, where their partners were, and whether they should run or stay. It is the contagion of panic, a brief, catastrophic system failure where elite athletes suddenly look like they're playing bumper cars.
It really did look like that. Yet, despite losing 2 wickets in one bizarre sequence, Sarah Bryce simply refuses to lay down. In the final over, she hammers Mithali Ayodhya, who actually finished with very respectable figures of 2 for 34 for 2 massive boundaries.
She was incredibly resilient.
Bryce single-handedly dragged Scotland past the 150 mark, ensuring they scored 63 runs in the final 6 overs to finish at 151 for 6.
Now, defending a total of 151 in a high-pressure World Cup match requires your fielding to be absolutely suffocating.
Yeah.
Scotland needed to replicate the exact same geometric squeeze that Sri Lanka applied to them in the middle overs.
But as Sri Lanka began their chase, Scotland experienced the exact opposite. We talked about the psychology of desperation earlier. Well, Sri Lanka's Chamari Athapaththu clearly decided that the best defense against pressure was just to destroy the opposing bowling attack.
A very valid strategy if you can pull it off.
And she did. She was coming off an undefeated 106 against Ireland, and her confidence was just astronomical.
She took a wrecking ball to Scotland's Gabriella Fontenla. In a single brutal over, Athapaththu hit Fontenla for 3 fours and a massive 6, securing 18 runs off just 6 deliveries.
Just explosive.
Totally. Thanks to her aggressive start and some help from Hasini Pereira, Sri Lanka crossed the 50-run mark in just 4.4 overs. They were cruising, easily brushing off the early loss of Amesha Dulani.
But the pendulum of momentum in this format of cricket swings violently. Just as Sri Lanka looked comfortable, Scotland found their spine. Catherine Fraser, who ended up with vital figures of 2 for 25, stepped up and produced the turning point.
A huge moment in the match.
She bowled Athapaththu for a rapid 33 off 16 balls. And for clarity, when we say she bowled her, it means the delivery completely bypassed the batter's defenses and smashed directly into the wooden stumps behind her. It is the most definitive way to dismiss someone.
Once the head of the snake was cut off, Sri Lanka's scoring rate plummeted. It mirrored the first innings perfectly.
The squeeze was back on.
Yes. Catherine Bryce took a crucial catch at mid-off to dismiss Hasini Pereira in the 9th over. Then, in the 10th over, Fraser struck again, trapping Hansima Karunaratne LBW leg before wicket.
Right, essentially the bowler tricked the batter into missing the ball, and the batter used her leg as a shield to block a ball that the umpire deemed was definitely going to hit the stumps.
Exactly.
So Sri Lanka goes from cruising at 50 and under 5 overs to suddenly stumbling, just gasping for air at 78 for 4.
The mathematical tension really began to squeeze here. Sri Lanka needed 52 runs from 48 balls. Kavisha Dulari and Harshita Samarawikrama, who contributed a solid 27, tried desperately to keep the scoreboard ticking.
But they hit a wall.
They fell into the same trap Carter did earlier. They tried aerial shots to break the tension, and the fielders were waiting. Sri Lanka only had 4 wickets left. They could not afford any more mistakes.
Every ball counts at that stage.
Absolutely. Scotland's Kirsty Gordon and Catherine Fraser were relentless, bowling crucial dot balls. A dot ball is simply a delivery where no runs are scored.
It doesn't sound like much on paper.
No, but in a run chase, every dot ball acts like a tiny turn of a vice grip on the batting team's psychology.
So what does this all mean? We have this incredible buildup of tension. The pressure is a physical, suffocating weight on the field. Sri Lanka needs 27 runs off the final 18 balls. The match is totally balanced on a knife's edge. And then
It's a drop.
Gabriella Fontenla drops 2 catches in 2 consecutive overs. This isn't just bad luck. It reminds me of a concert pianist who has played a piece 1,000 times in practice without a single error. But the moment the spotlight hits them on stage, they suddenly become hyper-aware of their own fingers.
The yips, essentially.
Yeah, the muscle memory just short-circuits. You have the chance to escape, the chance to seal the game, and your hands just betray you. It's the sporting equivalent of dropping your car keys twice while trying to run away from a monster.
That's a terribly vivid way to put it. This raises an important question about how physiological stress manifests in physical errors. A dropped catch in a vacuum is just a mistake. A dropped catch with direct World Cup qualification on the line is a psychological virus.
It spreads to the rest of the team.
It infects the entire fielding side. You could see the adrenaline from those missed opportunities bleed directly into the penultimate over. Catherine Bryce, a usually reliable bowler, is suddenly bowling under the immense compounded weight of those drops.
And she cracks.
And the pressure breaks her rhythm. She gives up 10 critical runs in that 19th over, including 2 incredibly costly wides.
Wides. For those not familiar, that's when the bowler delivers the ball so far out of reach that the umpire penalizes them, giving the batting team a free run and an extra delivery. You are just handing out free advantages when you can least afford it.
It is the physical manifestation of tension. Think about overgripping the steering wheel of a car during a severe thunderstorm. Your arms get stiff, your fluidity vanishes.
Right, you lose your touch.
For a bowler, a stiff arm means the release point of the ball is a fraction off, and suddenly you are throwing it wide. Conversely, look at Sri Lanka's seasoned players. While Scotland is dropping the ball and overgripping, Nilakshika Silva remains entirely composed. She is watching the Scottish team unravel, just waiting for her moment alongside Suganika Chamari.
Which brings us to the final over. All the momentum swings, the blazing power plays, the grueling middle over geometry, the dropped catches, the chaotic runouts, everything funnels into a final 6 balls.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka needs 7 runs from the last over. They are chasing 152.
The ultimate test.
Scotland throws the ball to Rachel Slater. She steps up to bowl the most important over of her life, and then she suffers what appears to be a sudden knee problem. She literally has to walk off the pitch mid-over.
It is a coach's absolute worst nightmare. You have your tactical plan set, your field placed for a specific bowler's style, and the script is violently torn to shreds by a biomechanical failure.
It's unbelievable. Before Slater limps off, she gives up 4 runs off her first 3 balls to Silva and Sugandika. So let's look at the board. There are 3 balls left in the entire match. Sri Lanka needs 3 runs, and Scotland has to throw the ball to Priyana's Chatterjee.
Coming in entirely cold.
She is thrust into the game completely cold to bowl the final 3 deliveries of a World Cup thriller. Now, I have to push back a little on the pure psychological analysis here. How much of this result is dictated by mindset versus the sheer astronomical bad luck of a mid-over injury? I mean, to lose your bowler with 3 balls left isn't tactics. That's just the universe being cruel.
The misfortune is undeniable, I'll give you that. But from an analytical standpoint, the crucial factor is the physical reality of a cold start.
Walk me through that.
Fast bowling in cricket requires an incredibly complex kinetic chain. You need a run-up to generate momentum, you need to feel the grip of the leather, you need to calibrate your release point to the specific traction of the pitch. Chatterjee was denied all of that.
She had 0 preparation time.
She was thrown into the deep end without a moment to physically warm up her shoulder or neurologically map her delivery. The Sri Lankan batters, Silva and Sugandika, recognized instantly that Chatterjee was at a massive physiological disadvantage.
And Chatterjee feels that disadvantage immediately. She bowls her first delivery, the 4th ball of the over, and gives up a single. The math is now impossibly tight. Sri Lanka needs 2 runs from 2 balls.
This is where experience triumphs over the surrounding chaos. Sugandika is on strike. She knows the fielders are tense. She knows the bowler has no rhythm. She doesn't try to swing for the fences or overcomplicate her mechanics.
She absolutely nails it. Sugandika smashes the ball through short third, a tricky fielding angle positioned just behind the batter for a glorious boundary, a 4 to win the game.
What an ending.
Sri Lanka finishes at 154 for 7. They survive the gauntlet. Scotland is absolutely devastated, their 2028 qualification dreams dashed by the narrowest of margins.
It reinforces that sport at this level is rarely decided by talent alone. It is decided by who can manage their internal biology the best when the external pressure becomes suffocating. Sri Lanka's lower order, anchored by that seasoned composure, managed to regulate their breathing and scrape by.
And that is really why you should care about this specific match. Even if you don't follow cricket or have no idea where Manchester is on a map, this match is a masterclass in human performance under duress.
It's universally relatable.
You've probably felt this in your own life, when you are thrust into a high-pressure presentation at work completely cold, just like Chatterjee being asked to bowl those final deliveries. It shows you exactly how macro pressures, like a nation's funding, or securing a World Cup qualification manifest in micro moments. A single dropped cash by Gabriela Fontenla when her muscles tightened, a sudden knee tweak by Rachel Slater, Darcy Carter deciding to risk everything in the first 10 balls to become the tournament's top scorer. It all adds up to history being rewritten in real time.
It is a brilliant study in cause and effect. Every action, from the aggressive power play to the final desperate boundary, was inextricably linked to the context of survival.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the bizarre tactical geometries of the middle overs to the contagious nature of panic. But I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, something that builds on exactly what we just witnessed with that dramatic ending.
Go for it.
Given how drastically Rachel Slater's mid-over knee injury altered the climax of the match, forcing Priyana's Chatterjee to bowl the most high-stakes deliveries of the entire tournament with absolutely no physiological preparation, should high-level cricket introduce a warm-up provision for emergency mid-over replacement bowlers?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
If the goal is to preserve the competitive balance of a run chase, does it make sense to force an athlete to perform a highly complex biomechanical action completely cold? Think about it.
Thank you for joining us as we unpack this incredible clash of pressure and performance.
We'll see you next time. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.